All right, welcome back to another episode of the Cameo podcast. Once again, brought to you by my lovely supporters on Patreon. I got 3, and you know what? That's great. That's I think I have about 85% of my hosting fees covered, and that was my goal with my Patreon. But if you're interested in supporting this, I have committed to putting out 4 episodes a month, so that's basically 1 a week. So that's 52 episodes in a year. That I'm putting out. That's a lot of time and effort, and if you want to help out in any way you can, that's great. If it's financially, that's even better. Not to say there's a better or worse, but who cares? Anyways, moving on. My next guest knows that I'm unedited, unfiltered, because she does listen. She came on my radar, actually, when I saw the Woman Only Network photos on Instagram. I think I'm going to say it's Alysha Belcourt.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So I got it right. Alysha, you were the photographer for Dana Foster, who was on previously. How did you connect with Dana?
You know, it was actually through my church, Bible Truth Church. We have an amazing lady there named Lisa Soden, and she does all the media for the church and everything, and did the news and all that, and I do all the photography for my church. So we connected through that, and Dana kind of came in the picture, and Lisa ended up being the producer for Women Who Lead Kamloops, which was the series for the Women's Online Network. And so Lisa introduced me to Dana, and then we got together and filmed a couple episodes, and it was just so much fun.
Awesome, yeah. So you're primarily a photographer. Is that your full-time gig? Is this a side gig in the meantime, or?
Right now, it's a side hustle for sure.
Awesome. Yeah. When did you get into photography?
I would say almost 4 years ago. Yeah, I mean, I've always loved, I guess, my whole life kind of photography. I always had those disposable cameras and took them into Extra Foods and got them developed there and everything.
The extra $15, get things developed.
Yeah, and it was so exciting seeing the pictures and everything afterward, and I would like pose my Barbie dolls and everything and take pictures of them, which sounds so nerdy, but it's what happened. But it became more of a serious thing in my late teens, and it's just kind of blossomed from there.
Did you ever take any film photography in high school?
Yeah, we had a photography class in my high school, but it was completely unlike anything I do now. It was, you build a box camera and develop the images in a darkroom, which was super exciting and interesting.
For the whole semester?
No, it was half semester, because it was like a 4-course block. It was like computers, photography, drama. It was like
creative writing, yeah. An early YouTube incubator.
Something like that, yeah.
That's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah. It was really fun.
So have you had the opportunity to use a darkroom then?
Yeah, just then. But I actually thought it was really scary at the time. Touching the water and everything, moving it around, and it was all dark and a bunch of students crowded in a room. It was very anxiety-inducing for me at the time. But
totally.
But it was fun.
Yeah, my darkroom photography class was very liberating, because we had signed pieces of paper that just meant we could wander off campus during photography class. So it meant a lot of breakfast diners and just messing around under the name of art.
Yeah.
But you've been going predominantly on Instagram, and then when I checked out your website, I noticed Josh Lindsay made it for you.
Yeah.
How do you know Josh?
Josh is one of my husband's best friends.
Okay.
Yeah, so they've known each other, I think, since grade 4. And and then he's become one of my close friends. He was one of the groomsmen at our wedding. And
oh, nice.
Yeah, so...
When did you get married?
Yeah, we got married over the summer, so we're newlyweds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And how did you pick your photographer for your wedding?
We had another friend that was one of our groomsmen who was a photographer, but we wanted him to do it, but he'd never done weddings before, so he kind of turned us down.
But he was a groomsman, so probably best not to have a groomsman.
Well, he was a groomsman after we realized he couldn't be the photographer.
Oh.
Sorry, Joel, if you're listening to that. Yeah, but, I know so many other photographers on Instagram, and so Alysha Christine Photography was our wedding photographer, and I love her style, and she's super talented and just one of the nicest people I think I've ever met in my life. So
See, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You say her name. Because there's so many creatives in this town that I have no idea exist. They're hard to find. How do you reach out, or how have you met other creatives to work with? Because obviously you're in the portrait photography side of things.
Yeah, I creep a lot of Instagram hashtags. I'm always creeping the hashtag Kamloops photographer and hashtag Kamloops BC Now. Just always those. And I always keep up with like the in focus on Kamloops BC Now, and just keep up with what's happening in Kamloops.
Did you get one?
Yeah. Just in October.
Nice.
Yeah.
I got my second one, which was funny.
I noticed that too.
It's really interesting to me. Kamloops BC Now's place in the media world right now, because they don't really have like a Kamloops locals, but there's still like this aspiration to get this in focus feature.
Right, because yours accidentally said you were from Kelowna.
Well, because they are in Kelowna, right?
Kelowna-based,
it's Czech Creative, which used to have a Kamloops office. My friends worked at, but they've all left. So there's one guy left in town, as far as I'm aware, Rob Capello, and so his team out of Kelowna does it. But it's interesting how, though they don't have as big a presence like a year ago as they once did, there's still this aspiration to get the in focus feature, right? It's like the one redeeming thing about their website.
I mean, I like the Sunday social as well.
I haven't seen that one pop up in a while.
No, well, that's because I'm looking for it. I'm creeping on it.
Yeah,
so.
you gotta hustle. you gotta figure out how to get some attention. Which have you translated your Instagram into some paying gigs, or
heck yeah.
How was that? What was the first one like?
The first one was nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Was it a wedding, or was it just like a shoot?
It was a family portrait session, but it was for a family reunion. So I think there were 20 people, and they wanted everyone in the shot and everything. And it was actually out of town too. It was, I think, on the way to Sun Peaks.
Okay.
Not quite in Sun Peaks, but on the way there. And
do you think you priced yourself, or did you underprice yourself, overprice yourself?
Oh, totally underpriced, especially for the amount of time driving there and gas and everything. And yeah, like I had dirt cheap prices when I started off, because you don't know any better when you just start a business. Totally. And especially as an artist, I feel like we do tend to undervalue ourselves sometimes. And especially because I was, I don't know, a teenager at the time.
Well, this was 4 years ago.
This was years ago, yeah. So, you can just kind of be like, well, I really want people to pick me, so I'm going to have the cheapest prices. But
it's a race to the bottom then, right?
Yeah.
And, you have to be selective of how you invest your time, right?
For real. And that's the big thing I'm discovering this year, is that, like, my time is so important to me, especially now that I'm married. Like, I don't want to be spending all my free time doing silly things for barely any pay, right? When, like, I could be using that time with my family and putting time into my business and into my work and all my other creative pursuits. Like, it's just, everything's got to be worth it to me now.
So
right?
when you say your business, though, you mean your photography business?
Yeah.
Right, but you have to. So it's a catch-22 of, like, you have to find clients, but also make sure they're worth becoming clients.
That's the thing, yeah. And I find most people totally are. Like, I usually, every time that I do photography right afterward, I'm just on a high and I feel really passionate about it, and go home and race and put all the photos on my computer and look through them. Like, it's very exciting, and I'm passionate about it. I love doing it, but it's just, I don't know, I guess just making all those little changes to make it more efficient, like a more efficient workflow and everything.
Yeah. That's what I'm obsessed with, is like, how do you produce content so much and quality content? And I'm willing to do lowbrow content because I'm trying to prove a point to some people. I've actually had people be like, holy shit, Nevin, you're spamming. And like,
like 5 posts a day.
Yeah, because I have the capacity to do it, so why not? But we're in this weird industry where, like, as we get jobs, we're also making more content. So you're almost watering down the content that you do make, and it's this weird place. How do you think you like pull yourself out of that constant rat race of like producing content?
Just making sure that it's what you're passionate about is the thing, because like with my photography, I'm very much into my portraits, and that's what I focus on. And like I've had some people approach me to like take pictures of cars or something like that, and like I think car photography is beautiful, but it's not where my heart is at.
It has a very different look, and car photographers, I know the look you're going for. They want their souped up car out in the mountains, right, from the low angle and having the lens flare and.
Yeah, exactly. Or even landscape photography, like, because my friend Joel that I mentioned earlier is Joel Wiest Photography, for those that are listening. He's an amazing landscape photographer, and every time I see his work, it just blows me away. But it's just never something that I've aspired to learn or to do. I just felt like I really wanted to hone in on what I loved doing and to do it really well.
You're, what's your Instagram handle again? It's just
Alysha Belcourt Photography.
So why not just be Alysha Belcourt? Why photography? Like, why not like mix yourself in and like show stuff from your perspective, but also who you are?
Well, I feel like I do that already. Like, I mean, the other day I shared a picture of me with a ukulele, and
I saw that one. Yeah.
Do I think that that's an amazing, like, groundbreaking portrait? No, but it's showing my face, and people recognize me. Like, I was at the bank and someone was like, "Are you a photographer? I think I recognize you from Instagram." And so I feel like I do share a lot of personal stuff on Instagram, but I don't know. It sounds official. Alysha Belcourt Photography.
I guess the branding of that though, right? But like I've divvied up part of my lives into different buckets per se, right? And I don't know, like I just like when I see photographers and it's just like I see their name, it's just like, and then I don't see them. I don't know, like I think Instagram's very interesting because there's always like the landscape photographer, there's the portrait photographer, blah 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 blah. Photographers tell all these stories, but they never tell their own. You know what I mean? So like, what do you think you're trying to share with your feed?
My feed? I mean, I feel like my feed is very, like, I'll usually try to keep a picture of me in my top 9 so that people can recognize me and get to know me, and always put a picture of, like, one of my pets or my husband or something like that. Something from my story, but then the rest of it will usually be what I've been working on the past couple months or my most recent shoots or something like that. And then I always try to tell a story in the captions. I can't stand those captions that just have a witty quote and then the hashtags. Like, I would rather say something, even if it has nothing to do with the picture. Like, if I've got a story to tell, I'll just write it.
Yeah. It's an interesting microblog when some people write like these novels. Yeah. I can't believe how much effort some people put into their comments. It's crazy.
Yeah. I don't think I could ever go that far because I've seen people that are like, continue reading captioned in the comments. I don't think I've ever reached that point, but just a quick little story, even if it's just something about what happened while we were taking the pictures or something about the person in the picture. Like, I don't know. I feel like photography should be saying more.
Yeah. Well, I think like Instagram's interesting because it's like it's on the rise, has the potential to really take over Facebook, you know, in kind of our generation's view of, you know, prominent social media. But how do you stand out in, you know, there's a flurry of, you know, camera photographers, right? And everyone's getting a better phone or better camera or whatever it be, right? How have you been trying to stand out?
I feel like just by being myself. I mean, if people want a great picture, like, we have so many talented photographers in this town. Like, there's so many. And if someone wants to go to someone else, like, that's fine. But I feel like just trying to sell your experience is more of it rather than sell your work. Because if you're just comparing work, like, where does it end, right? Yeah. You could compare photo to photo to photo, but, like, compare personality and experience, you can really find someone that fits with you. Because like when I was choosing my wedding photographer, like I noticed that it sounds so weird saying Alysha because we have the same name, but like I felt like our personalities just clicked, and she was just like a really calming person to be around, like very sweet and just very sweet and calming. And I'm like, that's the kind of person I want on my wedding day,
Nice.
which is going to be one of the most stressful days of my life. And so that was it for me. Like, yeah.
To go on the keep on the track of like creatives that I don't know, who are like 3 creatives you're watching in town that think should get some recognition?
Definitely Alysha van der Linden from Linden Co.
Yeah.
She is incredible, and she's just doing amazing things for women in Kamloops and women in business.
They came out with Coffee and Confetti, her and
Carly Morgan.
Carly Morgan, yeah.
Yeah, and that was awesome.
You went to that?
Oh, heck yeah. Yeah, it was so much fun. You got to meet just so many women, and like I feel like I couldn't stop smiling the whole time I was there.
Yep.
Other creatives to watch.
See, the opportunity of that is just like, as like a guy who understands creating content like on the fly really, really quick, like 200 pieces of content should have come out of that 1 hour night, right? Like I just know like how fast I could generate that with the right people, right tools, or whatever be, right? So I'm interested to see where Coffee and Confetti goes as an onlooker, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously I'm not female.
Unfortunately, no. But you could do the Bugs Bunny disguise and try to get in there. Other people in town to watch, other than you, of course.
To be honest, like I think there's much more interesting people in town doing stuff. Like there's this poet who makes full-time living on poetry, and like I think maybe a dozen people in Kamloops know she exists.
Oh my gosh!
Right? Like I think there's so many interesting people. It's just I don't know how to I'm just trying to collect them all in one place is like super challenging.
Yeah, definitely.
But speaking bigger, who are some bigger creative influences on you outside of Kamloops? Because we're not limited to Kamloops because it is the internet.
Oh yeah, well, there's an incredible photographer that I met a couple years ago, and her name is Hannah Richter. And she doesn't do photography anymore, and she's transitioned into more of ministry because she's a Christian as well. But yeah, her photography is amazing, and I had the opportunity to second shoot with her at a wedding a couple years ago, and just an amazing person, and as well as a photographer. It's just crazy talented, and when you talk to her, you really feel like you're special, and that's kind of what I aspire to. And when I talk to people, making sure that people feel like they're important. Yeah. But she was Vancouver based, but has now moved to somewhere in Ontario.
Yeah,
somewhere. And
that doesn't happen often, much. People moving from BC to Ontario.
It's happened so much in my life.
Really?
I've had so many people come and go, specifically to Ontario.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm from Ontario.
Oh,
Ontario,
whereabouts?
right? Cambridge.
Cambridge, okay.
So that's like in the KW area. That's where Blackberry's from, right?
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Grew up in like a bit of a tech hub, but I don't live there anymore, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of parallels between Cambridge and Kamloops, right? Which, my parents still live there, right? But like a lot of the topics I talk about are universal, right? It's just, I have a Kamloops focus, a Kamloops lens.
Yeah.
Right? But you came up in one car. Do you have one car between the two of you?
Yeah.
How's that working for you?
It's fine, like, because we didn't live together before we got married, and I lived on my own without a car before that. So it's been fine. Like, he gives me rides, but it's not so much that I need a ride, but it's just us being annoying newlyweds and wanting to be together every second of the day.
Yeah.
But,
all right. I'll be the crusty old man of the conversation. Yeah. I yell at people to get off my lawn, the whole 9 yards. I'm a lot more cynical than I should be. What's something you'd like to see happen in Kamloops in the next few years?
Well, especially with the whole Coffee and Confetti movement and just women coming together and supporting other women and other women in business and in arts and everything, and especially everything that you're doing with bringing arts to the forefront and the center.
Trying to do something.
Yeah.
I'm just figuring it out as I go.
Yeah, just bringing more of an arts focus is definitely something I'd love to see.
All right. Sorry, we just paused there. We're at A&W. Don't tell them that, but they just offered to refill my root beer, which is kind of cool. Do try and support local privately owned businesses on the podcast. Regretfully, I have recorded at Starbucks, but I can't avoid Starbucks. My wife loves it. It's like unavoidable, even though I buy from Redbeard coffee like almost every day these days. So
I know I'm like that with the Art We Are. I'm there like almost every day.
Oh, really? Thank you. So, yeah, actually, no, I've recorded a few podcasts with Art We Are. I have one recording Thursday, Ryan Noakes of the Kameo Symphony.
I'll have to listen to it.
Yeah. So when did you actually first come about my podcast out of curiosity so I can stroke my ego?
I feel like earlier this year.
Yeah,
it was when you started the community, #community.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you started reposting everyone who did that. Yeah. And it was around that time. I think I followed you before that, but then that's as early as I can remember.
Yeah, I've done a lot of weird attention hacking things, right?
Why not?
I think it was Hannah Singer who said, hey, I'm not digging this. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty dumb. So I deleted them all, whatever it be, right? Or archived them, right? But you got to do something to stand out.
Yeah, and you'd give it a try, at least.
Right? Like, what do I have to lose?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And plus, it was that idea of, like, how fast can you make content in a way, right?
Right.
But I like how you can follow hashtags now a lot, right? Because like you can then have your like core group that you follow, and then you get access to like anyone who uses that hashtag, right? Like, because I think there's this weird rat race of like, oh, I follow you, you need to follow me, sort of thing. It's like, no, I want to follow just who I want to follow. Not that it's like against anyone or whatever be, right? But this weird numbers game.
Yeah, exactly.
Is ridiculous. But you said you had some other creative projects earlier. Do you do anything other creatively outside of photography?
Yeah, like photography is my only business per se, but I love music as well, and play the ukulele and play the guitar and everything, and sing, and I'm learning how to do kind of calligraphy and that sort of stuff.
Like sign lettering, sort of?
Yeah.
For wedding stuff?
I mean, right now it's just doodles in my notebook, but but I don't know. It's just something to keep my brain going. Something. I love learning new things.
Totally.
So much fun. Yeah.
Did you go to school? Like after high school?
Oh yeah. I went to hairdressing school.
Really?
After. Yeah. So I actually work in a salon. That's my full-time job.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Which one, if you don't mind me asking?
Genesis Fashion and Beauty Complex.
Oh, okay. So you're downtown.
Yeah. So right next to the Art We Are.
Right next to the Art We Are. And what is that? Instincts? No.
Instincts is right next to Genesis. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Barbershop and McDonald's.
Right.
Yeah, that corner right there. But yeah, I went to hairdressing school, and so I'm totally licensed, but I work as an apprentice, so it's kind of the fun stuff, shampooing everybody, and I take my own clients every now and again, but I'm young and haven't been in the industry very long, so.
What's it like being an apprentice in like 2018?
2018?
Like it's obviously a paid apprenticeship.
Oh yeah.
So, but you're getting a minimum wage or above, I imagine.
Yeah.
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 So are you really an apprentice then, or is that just a fancy way of saying like you're not like like you don't have your own chair yet?
I do have my own chair. Yeah, I guess it's just a fancy way because it's more than just an assistant, right? Because I do take on my own clients in a way. So it's kind of like I'm a mix of an assistant and a junior stylist. I guess that's the best way to put it.
So you go up to a junior stylist at some point?
No, I mean, I'm both at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm just multi. Yeah. Yeah. So I do take my own clients on Fridays. Yeah.
So that's really interesting because like in my head it's just like, okay, so you're a photographer, you work at a salon. Why haven't I seen like the Alysha salon photography Instagram account, right? Like, Alysha hair or whatever.
There is one, but it's sorely neglected.
Sorely neglected. Okay.
We don't have any windows in the salon, and the photographer in me is like, oh, it's such bad lighting.
But cell phones is good enough half the time, right?
I actually am not good at cell phone pictures.
Now, is
I
it
know.
your phone, or is it just like you just don't want to use something that isn't held with two hands?
I feel like it's probably the phone. It's pretty old. It's pretty... my husband had a dream last night that apparently I got kidnapped, and they had a tip that they found my cell phone, and in his dream he was like, is it broken? To make sure that it was mine. But yeah, I guess maybe if I got like a fancy new iPhone or whatever with a decent camera, but I don't know.
I think limitations create more interesting things. I think when you're forced to like conform to certain stuff, you have to get a little bit more creative. So I don't like people upgrading just because they can, right? I'm still using a T3i when I do use my DSLR, but
Oh yeah.
I think I broke it. I'm not entirely
Oh,
sure.
no.
I don't. It's been like I went to go take some photos the other day, and it was just like they were not turning out well at all. So I don't know if it was I probably have dropped it too many times.
I don't know. I mean, you might just be on a wrong mode if you changed your mode,
it's possible too.
or if you changed it to manual focus or something like that.
No,
Yeah.
I know my way around a camera.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay. I'm pretty rough on my gear, actually.
Yeah.
I'm not very, I don't know,
Yeah.
PC / I'm pretty brash.
Yeah.
You figured that out.
Yeah.
So to flip back to like the creative side of who you are, where do you want to see, your page go, or what would you like to do in 2019 that you're working towards?
2019. Oh, I don't know. This year has been so big and has brought so many changes that I'm just ready for anything at this point. Like, I didn't think that I would end up doing, film stills for a documentary series, filming in Kamloops. Like, that was just out of nowhere for me, and that was so exciting. So, just whatever's happening next, I'm ready for.
Awesome. Now, are you like actively trying to make something happen right now, or are you just kind of waiting to see what comes around the corner?
I think a mix of both. I think I definitely work for everything, but I'm just open to new opportunities, and when they come, I like to say yes. So
opportunity comes to those who are ready, I think is
yeah,
the saying.
yeah.
What's a time in recent memory where you had an opportunity but you didn't take it?
I don't know. I say yes a lot.
Do you ever think you say yes to too many times or to the wrong
Yes.
thing?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I have been trying to be a bit more intentional with what I do, like I said, because my time is important to me, but also because I want to make sure that I'm the right person for a project too. Because I have been approached to do like boudoir photos, which is something that I'm just not interested in at all.
Good Christian
so.
girl, probably.
Yeah.
And there's so many great boudoir
There
photographers
are.
out there. You
Yeah.
know, I don't get why you would approach someone who clearly it's not in.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So, like, there's so many amazing people in Kamloops, and I'd be happy to recommend them. Like, but just with me, I just know that that's not where my heart is at. So,
Do you think it was like the price point that they were going after at that point, or was it like actually they wanted?
A couple of times it has been just because they personally know me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the boudoir movement's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
This whole like idea of like Instagram perfect, right? Like people like outsourcing your online image to photographers that are paid or good friends or whatever. It's very interesting to me. While I live in it and play in it, it just blows my mind too, right? Like you can share a very intimate photo of your family or something, and it doesn't go as far as like this very staged, perfect lighting, manicured photo. What do you miss about the days you were playing with like those disposable cameras? Like, you know what I mean? Like you had one shot, or no, you had 25 shots or 15.
I think 25 or something like that.
Right?
I didn't care how many there were at the time. It was just like, and then it was over, and I'm like, oh, I guess I need a new one. Yeah. I don't know. I guess it was very carefree in those days because there was no social media. There was no one else looking at pictures except for my mom, right? But yeah, it was just taking pictures for the sake of taking pictures. Like, and I look at them now and laugh because there's, the pictures of the Barbies or pictures of stuffed animals, the stuff that little kids like. And I don't know, I guess, yeah, just taking pictures for the sake of taking pictures and not worrying like, oh, is this going to get a bunch of likes or is this going to bring in clients? Like, it was just, I don't know, and I guess in a way, pure art.
Yeah. It was like, do you watch Elle Mills at all?
No.
She's a YouTuber, and like, yeah, she's been making videos long before you could upload a video easily online, right? There's just passion and stuff, right? So
yeah.
You should check her out. Her YouTube's hysterical. She's Canadian too.
Oh, okay.
And she's a very important person in the creative space right now, in my humble opinion. But she's also got the awards to show it. What's something that we haven't chatted about tonight that you think maybe you want to talk about?
Ooh.
That's
You're putting me on the spot.
That's from Dana, actually. She
I know.
taught me
I
that
noticed
one.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something I haven't touched on yet. Yeah.
Totally. These conversations are difficult because like I never really know where they're going because I don't really prepare like a traditional broadcaster would, right?
I love that though because then it's not like you're trying to force anything in there. Just like, oh, tell me about this thing that I saw on your Instagram or like this thing that you mentioned on your website. It's just more you actually talking to somebody.
Totally.
Which
But
really love.
sometimes I maybe have an ulterior motive, and if I do, people should call me out on it, right?
Oh.
Not that to say I do or don't, right? But I don't cut my opinion out of things if it comes up. But what's something about Alysha that you don't think a lot of people know about you, or you think kind of gets missed in your online persona? Does that make sense? Because we're so much more than just the images we put on Instagram or Facebook, whatever right? We're flesh and blood. What is something that that people just can't gather from viewing you online?
I don't know. I feel like I am very much an open book, but I don't know. I think there's just little things about me that I guess you'd have to know me to know. Like, I don't know. I get.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
the conversation tapers off when it has to taper off, right?
Yeah. I try to put everything out there. I try to talk about my weird interests sometimes, and sometimes it just doesn't resonate with people. Like, I don't know.
See, okay. That's a good point right there, right? You put out your weird things and it doesn't resonate with people. What does that mean to you? Like people aren't engaging with it through social media, or they're talking to me like, not really the Alysha I want to see online. Like,
yeah, sometimes I guess it just doesn't fit in with your brand, right? Like, I love video games. I'm a huge video game nerd, and sometimes I try and bring it up on Instagram, like especially when I do like introductions, like a picture of me and then put some facts underneath every once in a while just to introduce myself to people and new followers. And so sometimes I'll like talk about a game that I like and then have a prompt and say like, what's your favorite video game? Leave it in the comments, and crickets happen and no one says anything. But I think maybe it's just not part of my audience, and that's okay. That's totally okay.
Totally.
But it's something that I wish that I could connect to people about because it's a huge part of my life.
Well, isn't that the point where then you should experiment with, maybe different hashtags at that point, right? And create content for just those select few, right? The idea of like posting something out there that, say you have a baseline of X, but you get X minus, 70%, that 30%, they still valued it. So shouldn't you still put it out there? So like, sorry, they're weird fake numbers, but like this idea of like, it doesn't fit your brand. Why do they get to choose that it doesn't fit your brand? Why can't you choose?
That's the thing. And so I still put it out there, even if no one says anything back, or if people don't connect with it. Like, is part of who I am, and I'll probably bring it up when I'm talking to somebody, so I may as well put it out there. Yeah.
Now, I think it's interesting that you are a video gamer, because, I don't see it in your feed scrolling through my head right now, right? Because you like using the sagebrush landscapes, right? But maybe you could start sprinkling that in somehow, right? Could you do a stage shoot in front of a Super Nintendo?
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right? Like, why not bring that nerdy side out? Like, not to get critical or anything, but everyone shoots in the sagebrush.
Yeah, it's
right?
true. It's true. But you want to deliver those pictures that people can imagine themselves in there too. So they'll be like, oh, like I could see my family having pictures done there.
Absolutely.
But I definitely do love like those personal things that, it would only be you in. That would be fun. Like a couple Christmases ago, my husband and I went to his parents had a place in the shoe swap, and so we brought the N64 out there, and I took some pictures of him playing it, and it was fun. It was just fun, and he was just being himself. He wasn't posing. He was just, playing Super Mario, and
See, that was my mom's thing, is she never liked the staged photo.
Yeah.
She wanted always the candid ones, right? But, like, getting things candid is tough.
Oh, totally.
Right?
Totally.
And there's this weird obsession with the stage photo, right? That the Instagram world has taken it to this next level. How do you get someone, maybe like me, who's not very good at photos and have some photos coming up next week? How do you get me to take a good photo when my wife needs me to?
Honestly, the best way is to just pretend like I'm not here, that sort of thing, especially if you've got pictures with your wife. Like, just getting the focus off of me, the photographer, and onto who's in the picture with you. That's so much more important. And like, it's a really big thing in the photography world to use prompts instead of poses. So instead of saying like, Nevin, put your arm around your wife, and like, or put your hand on her cheek and then lean it, like, you just be like, show me how you hug each other. Or like, or like, run up behind her and give her a big hug. Like, it's so much more natural, because then it's the way that you actually do it.
Got it.
Yeah.
What are a couple of your favorite places to shoot in town?
Favorite places to shoot? Well, in the sagebrush.
In the sagebrush,
I love Bachelor Heights. I think Bachelor Heights is gorgeous, and Tronquil Creek is always such a hit with families with little kids, because it's just like going on a walk for them.
Yeah.
So that's so much fun. I love shooting downtown too. Like, I love downtown Kamloops, and it's got so much to work with, between just going on the streets or the back alleys or even the Riverside Park. There's just so much that you can do there. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, Alysha, where can people find you online?
You can find me at AlyshaBelcourtPhotography.com, and you can find me on Instagram and Facebook at Alysha Belcourt Photography.
Not on Twitter.
And Twitter.
You are on
I am on Twitter, but I have like 15 followers.
But you know what? I don't think people realize how important Twitter honestly is in the grand scheme of things, right? If you actually want to, like, it's like the water cooler of the internet, right? Mm-hmm. You go and you find a conversation, you join it, and who knows what it might come out, right? It's a great way of getting attention. With, it's the most direct way to get attention if you provide value in a conversation, and a lot of people in Kamloops don't get it because they don't see the immediate result of it. So
yeah, that's the thing.
It's another thing for you to learn to, like, obsess over, right?
Yeah. Well, I've been using Twitter ever since I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
That's where I geek out. And on my personal account, at Alysha Peanut, I have like a series that I do called #Caleb Quotes, and just whenever my husband says something stupid, that goes on there. But my professional account, which is just Alysha Belcourt, because Twitter has a smaller name limit, I try and promote like the blog posts and everything on there, but haven't really found a connection there for business on Twitter.
Well, it's like the hashtag creeping, right? It's the actually joining the conversations, right? And it's harder to do, right? To see where you, like, when you value your time, like, do I value my time of even typing 140 characters? If a conversation goes, do I want to join it? Right? Like, are you a Gary Vaynerchuk fan?
No.
No, you don't like him?
I don't know who that is.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. He's pretty important little digital marketing. He's not little. He's huge.
Okay.
He's a digital marketing guy.
Okay.
Probably the most important in the space right now, right? And so there's all these people trying to get his attention, right? Twitter is one way to get his attention, and as a game, right? I would sometimes see if I could get his attention, and I've been successful sometimes and not successful sometimes, right? But it's that idea of, like, if I want to, try and collab with someone, maybe they're really busy in the Instagram world, but they have Twitter on their phone too, and they don't tweet all that much. Okay, they get that one notification. Well, my one notification stands out much more than the thousands over here, right?
Okay. Yeah, that's effective.
It's totally effective, right? And, in Kamloops, it's very much journalists and politicians on the Kamloops Twitter, right?
Yeah,
so,
I
like,
noticed
it's a
that.
direct line to, like, have that sort of discourse. But there is bigger conversation we have, right? If you want to, get into the video game world, who knows? Your Twitter account could be your video game Twitter account, right? Where you do really geek out even further than, Caleb quotes, right?
Yeah, Caleb quotes has totally taken over my Twitter, but there's the occasional geeking out over video games or Lady Gaga or something like that.
But it's like, people don't recognize, like, Twitter's not just about, like, throwing your thoughts out into the void, right? It's about throwing your thoughts out into the void, and then people might connect and respond back, right? So probably 95% of the time, you need to be the ones to connect back to someone else's thoughts out in the void, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think the biggest piece people don't get with social media is it is about conversation, right? You're trying to get people to comment their favorite video game, right? And when you comment, you then respond back, right? And you actually have a discourse, right? That's how you game the algorithm, right? Because we're so disconnected in this weird interconnected age. But anyways, that's for another time, another rant. Well, thank you for agreeing to meet with me, Alysha. I appreciate that.
No, I really appreciate coming on here. So it was really nice to meet you.
Yeah.
And
hopefully it was worth your time.
Oh, heck yeah. For sure. 100%.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Please be sure to check her out on Instagram or her website or her Facebook, wherever she is found. Reach out to her if you're interested at all. And if I could ask one thing is, please consider subscribing to this podcast. If I ask a second thing, consider sharing. Third, iTunes reviews are pretty cool. I am trying to improve, and my mom doesn't like certain things about the podcast. Maybe I would listen to her if she put an iTunes review, and maybe I won't. I don't know, but at least I can read them and see what the community is saying, which is you guys. And so if you would like to share your work, please find the community Facebook group. I'll put a link in the show notes, which I don't use very often. But thank you once again for tuning in the Cameo podcast, and thank you for meeting with me, Alysha.